As India's growth story begins to be more widely known, and as the Indian rupee becomes more internationalized, you'll see a change in attitude towards the rupee. Nevertheless, even with this slow depreciation of the Indian rupee, the growth in companies and the growth in the index will more than offset that. So in US dollar terms, you'll be in good shape.
Do you see growth surprising on the upside for FY24, or would you still be a little circumspect? Because of course, compared to last quarter and last month, one good news is that the US Fed is no longer expecting a recession. We've been expecting it for the past many months, but the market also seemed to be reconciled, to be accepting the fact that there might not be a recession and there might be something like a soft landing. At this point in time, how would you weigh the risks?
Well, I think those assessments of the US market are probably correct in terms of a good US market going forward, at least for this year, despite what the Fed does. And of course, the Fed is probably going to be slowing down on any rate increases. So that alone will be good for the market. But for India, the good news is that we're seeing more and more investments flowing into India. So it's quite possible that the growth rate in India will surpass what we've seen last year. Of course, last year, must remember, there was a recovery from COVID, the shutdowns and so forth. But this year, we might be surprised on the upside.
In terms of pharma itself, Mark, pharma has been somewhat disappointing for the markets. I mean, if you look at a really long trajectory, the potential was always huge, but for multiple factors, price erosion in generics or whatever, those stocks have not really performed. On the contrary, the hospital stocks, the diagnostic stocks, those have done fairly well. How do you size up that entire opportunity? Anything that you would like to steer clear of, and those that you would love to back?
Yeah, I think the problem with the pharma area is regulation, government regulation, and restrictions. You are subject to an incredible amount of effort on the part of these companies to prove their drugs will be approved by the US or by the Indian authorities. And that takes an awful lot of money and time. So you can, be involved in a situation where the company has spent years and years and millions of dollars on a drug only to see that it fails. So we tend to be quite cautious on this sector.
Sure. Mark, we head into elections next year. How do you see that panning out? Do you think foreign investors are going to be nervous about elections towards the end of the year? Do you think some kind of nervousness could set in?
Unless things change, unless there's a change in sentiment regarding this government and regarding Mr. Modi, I don't think there'll be much concern, because if Modi gets in again and his party grows into the position that they're in now, I believe there'll be lots of confidence. There will be no problem.